On your reappointment, and let's get to it. So this is the third Conservative order paper that I've seen on this council, and if it wasn't for the bloated planning committee, which I'll get onto later, and a few cabinet rebrands, we'd all be forgiven for thinking this is the same order paper as we had last year, just reprinted with some new dates on it. No aspiration for our borough at all. Although I couldn't help but notice Councillor Dadds and Councillor Turner have been left off this order paper. Does the leader really not trust them to vote the right way on anything? We once again have a cabinet which I can't make heads or tail of who's actually responsible for what. We have a cabinet member for business engagement seemingly doing the exact same thing as the cabinet member for economic stimulus. The cabinet member for housing and estate renewal has no new estates to renew because the cabinet member for strategic planning is still writing the local plan, which is no doubt given the cabinet member for resources and commercial plenty of sleepless nights. We've got a cabinet member for leisure and arts who has no money to spend on leisure and arts, cabinet member for waste enforcement who has plenty of money to spend on that thanks to his £50 garden tax, and a cabinet member for communities who was roundly rejected by the communities of Langdon Park, Lee Chapel North and Freehams earlier this month when she lost the county council by-election by more than 850 votes. And as for the cabinet member for enforcement and public order, the man who stood up 2 years ago and said he'd lock up anybody using drugs in our borough. How's that going, councillor? You only need to spend 5 minutes walking around Five Links or Northlands Park or Rokescroft Estate to smell the weed and see the nitrous oxide canisters everywhere. He takes an allowance for being a councillor, an allowance for being a group leader, an allowance for being a leader of the council, and an allowance for being a cabinet member. Maybe when he's wrapping up, Councillor Baggott can tell the council exactly how much money he personally costs the Basildon taxpayer every year in his allowances, and whether he really thinks he's worth every penny. Councillor Baggott will say later on this evening that the Leader of the Opposition is set to benefit from the review of members' allowances the most out of anybody in this room, but of course he's just planning ahead to next year when he's Leader of the Opposition. Now then, planning. I've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cabinet members on planning. I know that this is a problem for the administration, that planning applications are getting through on expensive appeals because of their reckless decision to withdraw the local plan. But does he really need not trust these backbenchers at all to vote the right way? These are cabinet members who are already going to be taking home £18,650 of Basildon taxpayers' money after a review of members' allowances later this evening. So surely they don't need to take an additional £678 for being on planning too. The new local plan is costing this council millions, drug and knife crime is still rampant on our estates, and streetlights are being switched off south of the A127, while fancy new Victorian-style lampposts are being erected north of the A127. No wonder the Conservatives came within 19 votes of losing every seat south of the A127 earlier this month. I have no doubt that another year of waste collection charges, council tax increases and services being cut will chip away at those 19 votes and give the opposition parties a clean sweep in the all-outs next year.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Now have Councillor Rimmer.
For a party didn't gain one single seat, they're quite cocky, aren't they?